It is exactly 9:50 a.m. We're into the final interview for the morning, and we are now going to be talking to Brigadier Thandi Mbambo about the further July 2021 unrest. Thandi is the Hawks spokesperson. Brigadier Thandi Mbambo elaborates on this matter. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning to your listeners.
I must say it came as quite a surprise to have heard about the 21, I think, is that the number, the 21 alleged instigators that were arrested for the 2021 July unrest. I was very, very pleased to see that progress is being made in that regard. But one kind of wonders, Brigadier, at the low number. You know, you look at 21 people have been arrested and then subsequently been released on bail for a very paltry amount, 3,000 rand only per person on bail, taking into account that the unrest left more than 300 people dead and the country almost at a standstill.
Indeed, yes. We have arrested 2020 initially, and then later on that day we arrested an additional two, and they all appeared in court. They will be going back to court later this month. As we already alluded to, that they were released on bail of 3,000 rand each. Then on later that day in KZN, we arrested more two, and one was arrested in Northwest. The three will be appearing this morning. With regard to the issue of them being granted bail at that very low amount, unfortunately, I cannot say much with regard to that, as the decision is taken by the court of law, looking at a various number of issues that I won't be able to indulge more on, lest I give a statement that are not proper. But
Point taken. Point taken.
That now the case is still ongoing. Them being released on bail doesn't guarantee that the case is now finished or withdrawn. They will still be back in court, and we are expecting that the case will continue and they will face the might of the law.
Absolutely. Well done to the Hawks. It's taken a long time, but undoubtedly lots of hard work has gone into bringing 21 or 23 people, having arrested them, and then they will be appearing in court going forward. We understand that Twitter was very instrumental in tracking down these perpetrators. How much did that help the Hawks in their investigations, Twitter and other social media platforms? How reliant were the Hawks on that type of information?
Remember, because now the very same Twitter and other social media accounts were used to instigate these activities. So it had to be imperative that we utilize it as well, or utilize their assistance in trying to get to the bottom of these activities. Hence, we brought along our cyber unit as well as our digital forensic investigation unit, which work together with these other social media groups to try and uncover what transpired, so as to be able to positively link those who are involved in these activities.
Questions are being asked on social media. I mean, that question is going absolutely rife. The issue around Zuma's daughter having been perhaps one of the instigators, or possibly even the main instigator for that matter. I do stand corrected on that. Do you think that there are plans underway to get the Zuma children arrested and taken to trial as well? Or is that too hot a potato to even think about?
It will be impossible at this stage to state as to who are we still planning to bring afore with regard to these activities. Remember that, as we indicated, investigation is still ongoing, and the number that we've brought to the court so far is still just a tip of an iceberg. So we're expecting to make more arrests, but it should be premature of us to dictate as to who is going to be arrested next, because now we are depending on the evidence, and where the evidence then speaks, that's where we will follow. So as soon as we've got enough evidence linking other people, it is only then that we'll be able to take them to the court of law, and we can be able to divulge their identity.
Now, Brigadier, I do understand that the investigations are intense and ongoing. So I know that you are very restricted in how much information you can share with me on air this morning. And I also understand that you guys do all the groundwork, all the the deep-rooted investigations, trying to uncover the plot, uncover who the people were that were involved, the instigators, the troublemakers, etc., and the issues around bail hearings, bail applications, people being released on bail, the amount of bail, and then the ongoing court appearances and the sentencing is totally beyond, your scope of work. But in a situation like this, what do you believe? I mean, this is really serious. It's, it literally brought the country to a standstill. It was almost anarchy, if not anarchy. What do you believe? What type of sentences do you believe these people should be facing? Because even if they sentenced to a couple of years in prison, South Africa, it's going to take a long time for us in South Africa to even try and recoup all of those billions of rands of losses on infrastructure, life, businesses, etc.
Indeed, a lot of damage has been done, as you already indicated, but unfortunately, I'm not qualified to say it, or maybe indicate as to what sentences we are expecting these people to get. But what we know is that, and firstly, our investigation or prosecution guided, and at the end of all the investigation, we put our trust in the court of law that justice will prevail through sentencing. So we believe with the investigation that has been gathered, rather, the court will make the right judgment that will spend, or that will talk to the amount of the damage and heartache that was done due to this July unrest.
So, Brigadier, what do you want to share with with our listeners this morning in terms of support for this ongoing investigation? What are what is the message you want to put out to the general public of South Africa? And is there any way in which, in our own small little way, we can assist the Hawks?
Indeed, what we can request from our general public out there is firstly that we need them to exercise a little bit of patience. I know it's a lot to ask, seeing that it's already over a year since these incidents have occurred. But from what is happening right now with these recent arrests as well, it goes to show that a lot is being done behind the scenes to ensure that those who are responsible for those calamities are brought to justice. We will also request them to assist us with each and every information that they may have, like they did with this arrest. You remember that with all the arrests that we're doing, we also depend on the information that we receive from the general public that we get to follow up and gather evidence thereof, which leads to the arrests that have been made, those that are still to be made. So us working together with the community in those ways, it will go a long way in ensuring that all of those that we are still looking for are also brought to justice.
What about the safety of the general public? They don't want to be labeled as impimpi, for example, and then be a soft target, to be hurt or killed. What do you say to them?
Indeed, we understand those fears, and they are true to that. What we request to them is that they can be able to provide information anonymously through various platforms. They can come to our offices. They can call all our numbers that are all over the social media platforms and the internet. So as and when they feel threatened, there are ways that they could be protected. Um, what they can do is, as indicated, is just to provide that information anonymously.
And finally, we know that we as South Africans are still stinging from the situation of state capture. High ranking officials and people in corporates have literally gotten away with murder, with state capture. They've lined their pockets to the tune of billions and billions and billions of rands. Collectively, I mean, certain people may be sitting with a couple of million, a couple of 100,000, others, but collectively, when you take the whole of South Africa, state capture has really cost the country a fortune. It's again one of the other avenues in which the country is almost crippled. Um, how can we be reassured by the Hawks that these investigations will be ongoing and the perpetrators will be brought to book? Because up till today, despite the Zondo Commission, we haven't seen anybody being brought to trial for, we heard about the Guptas being repatriated at some point in the future, we don't know when, will be repatriated to South Africa to answer for state capture. But that's so very many years later. How can we be reassured by the Hawks that you will do everything possible to try and get these instigators to answer for their crimes?
As in any other case that is investigated by the Hawks, the recommendations from the Zondo Commission will also be dealt with in the very same manner, which is working beyond reproach. What we can indicate is that the investigations thereof are still ongoing in those cases that are investigated by the Hawks, and they're not working individually. We know they are working in collaboration with the ID and other state entities to ensure that the recommendations are brought forward. And also to mention that even before the recommendations were made by the Zondo Commission, there were already cases that were already under investigation before they were even mentioned in the recommendations. So investigations thereof continue. What we need with this one as well is that the public needs to understand that these are not cases that are easy, that you get to just finalize in the space of a month. It takes a lot of consultation. It takes a lot of extensive investigation. It takes a lot of work needs to be done. A lot of statements that needs to be obtained, and that takes enormous time. So hence now we require that people need to be patient. Us rushing to take people to court will not assist, because at the end of the day the cases will be withdrawn, and then it will be fruitless to have worked on all those cases. So to ensure that those cases stand in court, we need to have enough time to prepare and to make sure that the evidence that we have is concrete enough to stand in court.
Indeed, I hear you loudly and clearly. Brigadier Thandi Mbambo uh, talking to us about three more alleged instigators arrested for the 2021 July unrest. Brigadier is the Hawks spokesperson. They've been working long and hard since the unrest last July, and I have no doubt in my mind long and hard work ahead of them in the days, the weeks, and the month to come. Keep up the good work, and we're hoping to see real positive results from the Hawks on this matter, and that is the arrest of instigators of the July 2021 unrest. Thank you indeed for being with us on the show this morning. Stay safe and God bless.
Thank you.
It is exactly 4 after 10 o'clock. This is where I sign off. But before I do stand by for our final ad for this part of the show. Thank you for being with me till tomorrow morning at the same time. As always, take care. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.